Welcome back, my dear. Let's continue the part two of how a Chinese billionaire discussed her childhood, and we discussed how she actually established her lens technology and what was her first lens making mobile phone and its company. And in continuation, let's see what actually has happened next onwards. On seeing her skills in making of glass lenses to the mobile screens, very soon she was approached by mobile gigantics like HTC, Huawei, Nokia, Samsung, Microsoft, LG, and Apple mobile companies to make lenses even to their mobile phones. Joe invested heavily in new facilities and skilled technicians in her company when Apple company picked the lens technology. I wanted to give you some output here. As of 2017, the lens technology employs about 90,000 people. So it shows her standards, which are actually maintained in her company, and the preference that she is giving to the skilled technicians and as well as new facilities. And also, the company's stock price rose by the market's daily limit of 44 percentage on the first day and 10% every subsequent day for 13 days in a row between 19th March and the 2nd, if I'm not mistaken, April of 2015. So with this, she set up three manufacturing plants in three cities. And even though there were many competitors in lens making field, this company stood as a tier one player. So this is what actually the slide talks about. Let's move on to the next one. uh, as you're seeing, uh, this slide actually tells about the nature of Joe. Joe, very hard work and dedicated woman. Every time she spends uh, in the factory, and sometimes she sits down at the machines to work with them. And also, she expects the same amount of dedication from her employees. Moreover, she's a very particular woman. You can clearly see her active participation in all the time in the factory. And in her company, most of her employees were, most of her employees for checking the glass is women. So that means you can find less women, less men in her company. Next slide. Till now we discussed her background, her accomplishments, and now let's see how they actually make a screen for mobile. The process will be done in three steps: first, second, and third. And let's see what they're going to do in first. Firstly, they take a glass and cut it down size. Means to the last layer they actually cut it, and later that will be bored and polished. They're going to polish the plates in order to have a transparent finish. So this is what actually happens in the first. No, no, no. First, this is what they actually do. And when it comes to the second processing, these plates are strengthened, whatever the plates that were cut and now polished and bored. So those plates were strengthened in potassium ion bath and painted and will be cured. So this is the second process. And finally, the third process. So they are coated with the anti-smudge and as well as anti-reflection films. So these are the three processes which will be done for this lens. Next, if you see, Joe is very particular about standards maintained in the factory. She has an apartment which connects to the factory. She uses this factory very often to rest and sometimes to checks on the factory. So for that sake, she actually uses that apartment, which is very connected to that factory. And coming to the next slide. Above all, she's not much popular in her own country, China. Somehow, she rarely seen in public appearances. She doesn't want it to show herself much. So for that's a reason. So when it comes to work, Her employees says that she is very observant of the smallest details, subtle and very attentive to. She won't tolerate being indisciplined. The best example for this is one day in a meeting, her manager slouched. On the very minute, she told him sit straight. But nevertheless, she is known for humility and taps always charm. This is her nature, and this is how she actually goes with the people, with her employees, and when it comes to the work. The dedication, the amount of dedication you can see, the amount of no, the humility that also you can see in her. So that's a reason she and her company stood in tier one company. Why? Because all of this. So when we are acting as a CEO or founder of a company, we have to look after each and every employee's need, and also the same amount of the dedication towards the organization supposed to be given by the employees. And next, so here we come to the conclusion. So let's see what the conclusion is all about. Um, she never ever forgotten where she came from and never took her position for granted. As we discussed in the previous slide, she's very kind hearted and comprehends that the most of the girls in her village do not have an option of going to middle school. Instead, they are engaged or married at a very early age. So, and no, Joe's uh, rags to riches story has been hailed as an inspiration to the millions of migrants workers in China. In an interview with the Gansu, Gansu is one of the televisions in China. So like they are like Gemini TV, ETV, TV9, like that. So in an interview with that TV channel, she said the secret of her success was the desire to learn. Until and unless we have this desire to learn, we cannot achieve with anything. Whatever the work that you take. See here, we the people are actually dumped with semi knowledge. So until and unless we have a full knowledge about that, until and unless we come to know about that work, we cannot achieve with anything. So we the one who's supposed to be a learner. So because the world actually tells too many things about the field that you're going to choose. So that's a reason. This is what actually made this woman as an inspirational character in China, and as well as she can actually build what else she dreamt about her dreams. So uh, we the one, so who are ready to learn, those who are desired to learn, can actually build your own fortune. So with all this, we are concluding the lesson: how a Chinese billionaire built her fortune. Thank you so much. If you got any doubts regarding to this topic, ping me on WhatsApp or just phone me. With love, Victor Emmanuel Raj, Assistant Professor of English. Thank you.